month are we in? I don't even know. It's all a blur now, right? It's May 18th. May 18th, 11:30 a.m. on this beautiful Monday. So my bad. Normally I record on Sundays. I do my AWS final reading and kind of just like wind down on the week and just kind of. That's the day I do self-care. I shave. I kind of just I'll prepare for the week coming up. I did not have an opportunity to do that yesterday because I had to go into work. We had a podcast. We had a tournament, and it was an event. I had to go in there, kind of all hands on deck for this one, and so to make sure nothing broke, things of that nature. So I showed up and I went in and I pretty much worked 10-hour shift or 8-hour shift, I don't remember, for that day, and so I didn't have the opportunity to do that again. Like I said, through your certification journey, through your college, while you're going through these processes and disciplines that are needed, you are going to face obstacles. And it just matters on how you plan it to face it. So, like I've said, create habits to make sure that you always follow through with your disciplines to make sure that disciplines that are needed to complete your task. So that's why I said the most important thing is to develop those habits to read and dedicate, 3 hours a day. And you build to that. Obviously, if you just start 15 minutes. Same thing with every discipline, like yoga, meditation, running, exercise. You start small for a bigger goal, which would be an hour session for working out. Make sure I get an hour done, but you start with 15 minutes, just jog, do walking, do something to create those day-to-day. It's slower. It is a slower process, but to start. But then once you get into these challenges of life, and it's just pretty much the way I look at it, it's just a bunch of you running, and then everyone's just throwing trash and the obstacles that you're just dodging them, right? Trying to get to your destination. So again, I adjusted. So yesterday, what did I do yesterday? So I did my AWS. This was cool. The weekend is AWS stuff. So which I designed it on purpose that way. So I knew that my weekends are usually either extremely busy or super lax. It's always one or the other. I'm completely available. I'm not doing anything. And so I'm just chilling, hanging out, doing self-care and doing all things of that nature. And then, or I'm extremely busy where it's an emergency at work, have to go in just because the nature of the industry I'm at, right? It's weekends, it's tournaments, things of that. So production environment. So because of that, I designed my study schedule on days where there are it's potentially that I could be more busier than not. I put in an elective, right? AWS on a more heavier discipline, my major, right? Networking, Ccnp. I put that on days are usually administrative stuff. If there is for me to get called into work, it's mainly paperwork or a meeting, things that I can work around, and I can continue to read and do my disciplines, whatever stage of my study plan I am at. So that's why I didn't get the podcast done yesterday. So I just came home, kind of relax, unwind, and then finish my AWS chapter, which was extremely long. Chapter 6 is extremely long. Just for AWS, for that book, for that study guide, that chapter was abnormally really long. Usually those chapters are pretty quick. So honestly, I think if I wasn't studying for the on-call, I would have finished that book and actually really be ready for the test. Not that the fact that it's just easy, it's less material, right? And less material to cover, and it doesn't go too in depth of things. It's more do you know this or you don't know it? And if you don't know it, just go and memorize it real quick, because what's the difference in what are the different options for AWS storage, right? EBS, EFS, Glacier, and Estuaries. So I'm pretty sure there'll be questions like that, and then they'll put EC2s and other stuff in there that not relevant, and then you would just have to pick apart. Like I'm pretty sure that's exactly what this practitioner test is going to be, which is I'm not looking for a super in-depth. I'm just looking for, I want to come out of this pandemic with something. That is my advice to everyone in any field. Come out of this pandemic with something. Be competitive. Don't come out this pandemic with the same thing you brought into it. If you came out with and I know this was hard, right? If you came out with no degree, come out with a degree, right? It's just the same mentality. Like obviously, a degree takes usually a year or two. Even if you do, I finished my bachelor's in a year and a half, right? Some people could do it in a year. So obviously the pandemic is. I don't know. I think it's starting to look like it's going to last longer than 6 months, but we'll see. People starting to open up. I don't know. If the certificates are much easier, you can knock it out in this time. Even if you start now, right? It depends on where you're at, but the likelihood of you being back in employment, back to right away, everything back to normal, it's very unlikely. It's to be a select few, and then it'll scale up after that. For here, just give you perspective, right? For here in Las Vegas, they're scaling up. The casinos will scale up based on the size. So the smaller casinos will probably open, like station casinos here will open up first, but they're not all going to open up because they'll be competing with each other. So it's like Wynn is not going to open up, and MGM, all of MGM properties are not going to open up, because if you open them all up, they're competing with each other with a small amount of people. It's just that's how business works. So the only reason why there's so many MGM properties is so that way they can compete with somebody who likes New York. Is going to they'll absorb that customer, right? They won't go to Luxor. They'll stay at the New York. So if the people who come in, they all like staying New York, Luxor, whatever. They'll all spread. You'll have 10 people showing up, and all of them one person will stay on each casino, and then that's it. Like, it's just to give you a perspective on it. So the way the properties actually work is like the Wynn, New York, maybe Circus will open up. Like, I think those are the one property each, right? Like Venetian will probably open up, and that's I don't know what's under their umbrella right now, but I don't know if that's part of the Wynn or not. But MGM has a bunch of properties. They're not gonna all open up because they don't compete with each other. Like station casinos, are not all of them are gonna open up just because they'll be competing with each other. So it's they'll probably open up the more popular casino first, and not just be one available. So the people who are employed on the other stations aren't gonna be employed. So even if you're right now unemployment or in potential, you are in with your boss where they say you're one of the top runners that come back when we do come back. So even if that's the case, come back with something. Come back with a certification, with hospitality certification. There's a bunch of certification, all kinds of stuff. I work in production on the IT side, and then technical operations for the front end customers for the LAN center. So there's I dive into different aspects of business or whatever fields. And there's production certifications. There's there's a bunch of stuff for food and beverage certifications. Even if you're in that, there's different things, right? And if you're in here in IT and you're probably watching this podcast just because you're trying to either look for Ccnp certifications and growing in that, make sure that you get at least one of them done, because you put that in your resume, right? And then when they're trying to decide, okay, well, who do we want to bring back? And you're trying to, my Google voice picked up my tone, whatever. If you're a network engineer and you just got laid off, or you're working at home because you're super productive and there's a bunch of work to do, and they're thinking about making cuts and stuff, and you tell them, well, I have the certification, or I'm almost done with this book, I'm planning to take this test on this day, and you tell your supervisor that, the likelihood of you staying in that employee job or competing with the new wave of people who are all trying to apply at the same time because they're all unemployed or the company went under, whatever, you're going to look more appealing So that's what the whole thing is about. Obviously, for you to make sure that you know what you're doing, and for you to give you confidence within your career. Obviously, that's what also a benefit. But in reality, certifications are really for you to compete with the whole market on being a professional at a certain level, and say like, look, I got a test here, and then they said I know what I'm doing, and then the business saying, okay, great, like I can benefit from that. So that's why I'm doing it. So I come out with something. So the AWS, for me, the practitioner, I'm like, for sure I can knock that out. If I finish the Ccnp book and then I'm starting to feel like we're going to open back up, I might double down on AWS just to do the test and just knock it out the way and then go back to the Ccnp. I don't know. It's all this is fluid. So if I'm ready for the practitioner test exam, even though it's my elective, I might just knock that out, right? And then continue studying my Ccnp, because that's more of it's a longer discipline. So, and a more difficult one, because again, the material. I'm talking about, like, if I was comparing AWS practitioner versus the sysops or dev, or the associate, architect solutions professional or whatever, the second stage up, like, it's like, dude, it's completely different. So the amount of material you have to learn. So so again, I doubled down on my AWS during the weekend, because of, again, I worked, I think I worked Friday. I went in Friday and then went in Sunday. So it was pretty interesting this week. And now I'm feeling like I'm on a Monday. Usually I want to get back. I'm excited to go into I mentioned this on Sunday of last week, my vlog 7, where I was actually happy to and eager to get back into reading, because I'm so close right now. I'm so close to wrapping up this book. But today I'm just like not into it. So I think me and the girlfriend are gonna go hiking tomorrow, I believe. So that'd be real cool. Self-care. Again, I'm ahead of schedule. I don't see like Vegas being in a situation where it was the same again. The workloads are gonna be different, and I don't know when everything's gonna go back to. Honestly, I think I put a prediction somewhere on my whiteboard here in my apartment, and kind of prediction of what I was all going to scheme out, but I'm not very optimistic. So, but again, I'm just taking care of myself, my family, and making sure that, again, I'm competitive. It's a democracy, and we all have to. Right now is the time to shine. It's just 100% time to shine. Are you going to do or die? Are you going to study and all that? So right now I am on chapter, actually, look, check it out. So let's dive into this planner. Cool. Dive into the planner. So if you guys see here, if you listen to a podcast, you aren't visually seeing this, but we get the planner up, we got the planner hub, and you can refer this on YouTube as well if you want to cross reference. But we got the Encore. We got 55 tasks left. That's a little misleading, but yeah. I have completed so far 11 chapters. All the other things I have completed so far are actual chapters. I don't believe I've done labs on the planner yet, like tracked it yet. And by the way, if anyone's asked, I have not done any labs yet. I started them, I think, 3 weeks ago. I knocked out like 4, and then I was like, I think I need to double down the reading right now. I feel like labs are when you know the concept well enough, and that's just repetition. It's like shooting shots. You're shooting free throws with the labs. You should know the material and the technology behind it, and the mechanical stuff, how it works in the back end, because memorizing commands will give you the illusion that you understand it. But when you're troubleshooting and then you have like a lab come out or a lab question, you don't have the experience. That's what the labs are for. So that's where I think I'm going to use my lab equipment, or my lab software, Boson, will be for that. So yeah, I stopped doing the labs. I doubled down on my reading. I stopped doing my notes, because I'm actually going to come up with something a little bit different on how I'm going to be tackling the topics and things of that nature. So I'm only doing reading right now, and I'm really excited. I'm doing a lot. I'm covering a lot, and security chapters are super long for this book, but it's also something that I'm actually pretty knowledgeable about. I'm pretty comfortable with a lot of terminology. There's some things in there that I haven't, that's new, but I'm pretty confident on the security aspect. I've always done pretty well. For the CCNP route, there was some security in there, and I did really well in it. Network security, I think that was the highest percentage. I think 80-something% that I got correct for that particular exam, and as well CCNA, CCNP, ICND 1 and 2. I just knocked out. It was like a 90% percentile of me, or 100% getting the security topics. So I'm pretty confident in that. But again, the chapters are really long for those. So that was chapter. Actually, let's dive into it. So Encore, I'm going to go into this planner hub here. And then we have, okay, cool. So I have under my readings bucket, we have 26, 27, 28, 29. 4 chapters to go. I have 26 in progress right now. Let's dive into it. So right now we're doing network device access control and infrastructure security. So what does that cover? Access lists, and which is, again, like a lot of this stuff is a review. I've read numerous times on these first 3 sections, which is access lists, terminal lines. I think that's terminal lines and password protection, authentication, authorization, and accounting, AAA. And then the rest, zone-based firewall, it's a little bit new for me. Control plane policing, that's new for me as well. Device hardening, I didn't think I covered those aspects on other books before. But other than that, I think the only ones that will be new material for me would be these 2, zone-based firewall and control plane policing. And again, a lot of the stuff too I've done for my actual experience. So a lot of the stuff I've not just here, but like overall in the book. And there's some things like SD-WAN. I haven't done SD access before. I haven't worked with an SD-WAN platform with Cisco. I don't know what SD-WAN does. I've designed a network for our LAN centers using SD-WAN, but using FortiGate's solution. Fortinet. But anyways, I'm in chapter 26 right now, which I'll be reading tonight. Again, like today, it's weird for me. I'm going for a run right now. I'm not really in the mood, and that's something you need to actually really look into yourself and be conscious of your mood and your motivation, where you're at mentally. If you read right now, is it going to be beneficial? Why are you unmotivated, right? And I feel like I'm motivated because I feel like I've done a lot this week. I read through a lot of chapters this week. I've completed, I think, 2 or 3. I think it's 2. And they were very long chapters, very long-winded. I've read yesterday to wrap up the AWS. I think I read for about an hour and a half. At least I felt like it was. And then when I was reading some of these, the Ccnp 24 and 25. Actually, let me see because you can show up. Because some of these too, it's like I'm a little disappointed in myself. I need to go back and security, network assurance. That one was long. That one was really long. This one was so Cisco DNA. But some of these, again, like debugging, like it's long-winded. But some of the stuff are like, the only one I think that I had never touched before was Cisco DNA center assurance, but that one was a long section, at least from my memory. And then, when did I complete this? I completed that on the 12th. Yeah. So, I completed that on the 12th. So it was last week. And then on chapter 25, which is network security, network access control, that one was long as well. That's NAC, network access control, next generation endpoint, network security design and defense. So I've covered before section 1, but then the other 2 were actually new topics for me. And I completed that on the 14th. Started on the 13th, completed on the 14th. So these are very long chapters again, super detailed. I was amazed how many topics there are and how deep they get covered. That means they're going to be super big portion of the test. Obviously, I think it's 20-some% that it's covered. Let's go over to that bucket. I did not put percentage. I think it's 25%. I think, yeah, the only one that was 30 was infrastructure from my memory. So, yeah, you be self-aware. What's going on right here, your body, just all that. What is it asking for? Right now, I kind of just want to like go for a run, not think about stuff, and then get myself a little bit of a rest, just because I counted on Sunday being a rest day, and I did not. It was not, and I did not expect everything that happened to happen. So, and again, you just gotta adjust. That's why it's important to not. This is for me, my perspective. For me, I don't think it's what's more important is for me to continue my habits, not to make an exam date. So it's great to be sooner, prepare sooner, submit your, pay for the test and put in a due date for it in 2 months' time or whatever. But then what's up happening is that, like, no, I'm gonna make sure I study, and you do that, and then all of a sudden you're not absorbing the information fast enough. You give yourself a mental break, and you go back into it and be like, oh, that was easy. But then you're like, you put yourself down because like, oh, well, I'm not gonna have enough time, and then you get this pressure, and then you just take the test and you don't do well, right? And you're like, well, what happened? So and it can't just be me. There's no way, and that's the way I feel. So the way I have combated that would be for me to concentrate on my disciplines and making sure I can absorb the information before. And I'm talking about way back when, maybe, how old am I? I'm 27. So 10 years ago, maybe even sooner, maybe 6 years ago, I put myself down all the time when I could not read something and get it. And I put myself down that if I read it more than once, I was like not intelligent at all. Like I can't do this. It's beyond my scope. It's too much for me. I stopped thinking that way. I read it 10 times if I need to. I don't care. My goal is to get it. Do you not get it right now? No? Okay, let me figure it out. YouTube, Google, something. Maybe it's the writer. Who knows? I blame the writer all the time. Like, why are you writing it this way? I get it now, but it's extremely, like, shouldn't be this difficult, right? So I start looking at ways to improve myself so that way I can understand it, but I don't put myself down when I don't get it right away. And if it takes someone 2 months to complete something and it takes me 4, whatever, I'm not, my goal isn't to compete. I'm competitive, but on making myself better. If I'm competing against you, I'm only focused on being better than you, but then there's someone even more better than you, than the person that you're just trying to compete. So if you're trying to be better than person A, and you're trying to compete against person A, but then like fucking person 2 ends up coming out like out of the woodwork, and they're just better than both of us. And then I'm like, oh, you don't do it like this person does? Like, no, that's dumb. I do it this way. And they're like light years ahead of that. I'm like, wow. Like, I've been trying to mirror this person and be better than this person, but this guy's mediocre. So, because he's just in my pond. But when we go out into the ocean, I realize there's so many other people around this. And like, dude, like, you're nothing. This person's like way more improved. So I just focus on myself and what works for me and play on my strengths. And then just do the thing, and just to make sure I'm happy. So don't focus on other people. If other people say it takes them 2 months or it's like super easy, whatever, that's not on your lane. You just focus on what you're trying to do. Read the book 100 times if you need to finally get it. Research to figure out how best helps you absorb information. For me, I do well with a lot of breaks. I used to sit, when I was in college, I used to sit in front of a computer for like 8 hours on a Saturday and be on my phone, play video games, do my homework. Go on my phone, play video games, do my homework. And those 3 sections, just like, I used to have like my TV up there and just play video games. Oh, okay. Put it down and start writing I'll write a paper for 2 hours. play video games. Oh, I'm gonna go feed my dogs. Go downstairs, feed my dogs. Go downstairs for a walk. Bring downstairs. All of a sudden it's 2 a.m. and I'm submitting a project. Like, but I started at 10, like, and then all the way to 2 a.m. and I didn't work all those hours. There was portions of it where I just like got off of my desk, sat down, played video games, wrote again, did that whole thing, and it worked for me. It just worked for me, and I got a 3.5 GPA, and I did really well in my bachelor's, and and then from high school I got like a 1.9 or 1.6 GPA. So, and then trying to conform and trying to be like other people. So do what works for you. People like you, notepads. For me, I try doing the notepad thing. I can't do the notepad thing. Whatever, let them do that. For me, I like technology. I like apps and stuff. It just helps me. I actually like writing down in paper my flashcards. I actually don't like apps with flashcards. I like apps with paper because I like writing the flashcard down, putting it in a ring, keeping it in my pocket, so it's like a book. It reminds me to take it out. With the app, I get distracted, and my phone dies. I'm walking the dogs, or I'm like, it's just weird. I don't like it. But yeah. So people, different things, whatever. Don't try to conform what other people do. Just do what works for you because it's your path, right? So right now, super smooth throughout the week up until Friday. Then everything went off the wire, and then so I'm adjusting now. So that's my current update right now. Again, I'm just doubling down on reading. I cannot wait till I finish this book. So once I finish this book, it's gonna be very interesting. I'm actually gonna develop a way to study, how to review all the chapters I've done. That's the important part. The way I study, that's what's gonna come. That's what's gonna drill down all of the knowledge that I need to prepare for the test. So I was talking to my girlfriend. She actually takes her time on each chapter to narrow it down 100%. For me, I can't do that because I get bored. Like I'll read chapter 1 and then I'm like keep reviewing it, and I feel like I'm memorizing it, and I don't want to do that. And then I get bored, and I'm like, all right, like I'm done with this material. I want something new. I like getting the whole book, and I understand even 55%, 60% of it, and I'm like, okay, great. And then I go and like take the challenges, and then go to each section and challenge, review, challenge until I'm like, all right, I got it now. And then dig even deeper to a point of memorization on the 30%, 25% topics, and then go to and I play back. Like I can't wait till I get to be able to design that so I can share it with you guys and then see if it works. Right? I'm gonna be doing something completely different from the end route, because when I did the route exam for the Ccnp, I think I was all over the place. I never tackled an exam this big before. The CCNA is big, but it worked for my CCNA, and for the CCNP, it did not work. I got close, but not close enough, and I think I can fine tune that. Yeah, it is different. I think the studying is completely different for the amount of topics and what you're learning. Thing is that what's interesting now is the CCNP does not have labs, so that's a whole other thing that I don't have to worry about. What I am concerned about, though, is how long the test is with 102 questions. I'm super ADD, so I can totally see myself dozing off, or like it's hard for me to concentrate for that long. So if I'm there for 20 minutes, I have to sit back, and it's timed. So it's like I do it for 20 minutes, and then I have to sit back and just kind of like, all right, reset, and then go back into questions, because I get into a thing where like I read the question 5 times and I still don't understand what it's asking me. And that's just because I'm sitting there for a long period of time. So so that's my update right now. I'm in chapter 26. I have this chapter, 4 chapters to go. 1, 2, 3, 4. And then there is a 30 chapter 30, and that one's to prepare for the exam. So I'm not really counting that because this one's a topic. I will cover chapter 13, but I don't count that as completely. I think I'm finished the book with chapter 29. So, but we'll see. I'm going to read that. I think it's like 2 pages. I will read that book. I will put it up here, and then yeah, and we'll start designing. The next thing will be to create the review notes in correlation with my topics, and I'll share with you. Here is an update here for my OneNote. Let this load up here. Let's go ahead and change. Boom, 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 boom. Boom. So there's a little hint here. I have been using this heavily with AWS. So if you go into here, because I am following a Udemy course on AWS for the practitioner alongside my study guide. So here I got the practitioner Udemy course, AWS storage, and I have all the storage options here. And I'm actually typing it out as I hear it. And there's like some visuals that the guy uses, AWS databases. So as I'm going through these chapters, video series, I'm actually typing a lot of this stuff out. It is helping me actually memorization. The reason I talked about the storage earlier was actually to test my knowledge. I want to see if I remembered it. But yeah, so these are different types of the storage options that was covered. Those are the main ones. Here is storage gateway was the other one. So it's great. I do enjoy this a lot. It allows flexibility of boxes. I can just move stuff around. It's pretty cool. And again, it's super easy for my phone. So yeah, that's a quick update for the AWS. I really appreciate you guys. Go ahead and follow me on Twitter _the IT blog, Facebook the -IT blog, and then YouTube the IT blog, and then .info, space.info altogether. Let me know if you have anything you want me to discuss, particularly put down in the comments below. And then check out my website, the itblog.info. And then send me a message there. You guys can actually direct message me from the app or from the website itself directly, and I 100% will respond. And I'm very responsive on Instagram as well. I think that's also _the IT blog. Yeah, I think it's _ the IT blog. So go ahead and check me out, and then let me know. I really appreciate it, everyone. And again, I encourage everyone to come out with this pandemic with a certification, like cloud, DevNet, something. Like, come out with something to be competitive. Don't come out the same way you got in. Even if you had like Sec Plus and you have an OSCP, like for example for Rudy, I would love to see him come out with a CCNA. And be competitive in the market. Obviously, like, he don't have to worry about it. But someone like him, like a Sec Plus or a CCNA, OSCP. Maybe you already have your CCNA, like myself. Go for the Ccnp. Or maybe you want to switch, like get a Linux Plus, like whatever. Just get something. Look, once you pay your rent, and start canceling some of your subscriptions, pay for some books to do, like Red Hat or something, like get certified in something. So figure it out. Like, that's all I say, figure it out. Everything's always figure outable, right? So really appreciate everyone support. If you are following me, if you're not, like, subscribe, share it to your friends, and then I'll see you guys next week. Peace.